Hi everybody, welcome to another Premier Guns video, and today we're going to talk about what is essentially the latest addition to the Browning B725 range, and that's the B725 ProMaster. So the ProMaster was launched back in 2019 and it was a follow-on from the Pro Trap. And although the Pro Trap was quite popular in both the flat and the hybrid formats when it first came out, it was quite clear to us and probably a lot of other UK dealers that when the sporting version was launched, i.e. the Pro Sport back in 2017, we've done a video, check it out, and then that the Pro Trap just wasn't as popular because the majority of what people wanted to use it was for sporting. So this is Browning's take on a sporting hybrid with all the gadgets. So 725, low profile action, which we all know and love, very different to the 525. Again, we've done videos on both, so do check them out, have a look at the differences. So the low profile action, so this is the Firelight trigger system, and it basically means that regardless of what the cartridge is, whether you're shooting 21 grams or you're shooting 28 grams, there is never really an issue with the reliability of it because it's mechanical, doesn't require any inertia to switch the top barrel to the bottom, etc., and vice versa, and that is what you're paying for with the 725. What they've done this time is they've gone for like this brushed finish with matte finish barrels. Now, as it's a high rib gun, it's got a high rib as you would expect, but it's not as high as on the Pro Trap. So it's a bit more subtle because it's designed to be a sporter, hence more of an all-rounder. And what you've got is you've got a 11 or 12 to 8mm tapered rib, which again is matte finish, which really looks the part. Ventilated barrels with the Invector DS choke system. We've talked about the Invector DS choke system before. What they did is they put an olive on the bottom of the choke, which you can see we're here in the box of goodies, and essentially the idea with that is that the gases go up the side and therefore there's no excess residue left on the choke, and ultimately you don't get them stuck in your barrel and you can move them nice and easily. So the rib is completely adjustable via the wheel on the front. So you can use this gun for literally anything. You can set it up to shoot 60-40 for sort of sporting and skeet, or I do know people that also use these for trap, whereby of course you would change the height of the rib to change the configuration and to change the pattern distribution. So to alter the rib, I'll show you what to do. I'll actually take the barrels off for this. So what we've got is in the front of the rib, near the glowy sight, there's a hole, and that's got a grub screw in it. So once you've slackened off your little grub screw, all you do is you turn this wheel, and what that does, that will raise or lower the rib accordingly, so you can change the point of impact. It's worth pointing out that with guns that have got adjustable ribs, the best advice I can give you is to literally put at least sort of 1/2 and 3/4, ideally 3/4 and full choke in it, and to shoot it at a standard pattern plate, which I think is 22 metres, something like that, and that will give you an indication of where the gun is shooting in relation to where you've moved the rib. Okay, sticking with the barrels, as with all Pro range of Brownings, i.e. the Pro Sport, the Pro Trap, you get a considerable amount of goodies. So with this one, I was talking about the barrels, you've got your barrel weights. So these are 37 grams each, and what you can do, again, it's the same as what we did with the Pro Sport video. The idea with these is they can go wherever you want them to go up the length of the barrel. So right back from sort of just in front of the forend right to the muzzle. So depending on where you want the balance of the gun, you can tailor make it to your requirements. So that's your barrel weights. Just pop it back together. Now, as with the majority of high adjustable rib guns, or even high rib guns, this gun has got a Monte Carlo stock. Not only is it Monte Carlo, but it's also adjustable, which for me works hand in hand. So Monte Carlo stock, adjustable comb, factory adjustable comb. And in addition to the barrel weights that you get for the barrels, obviously, there is also the Pro set of stock weights. Now they are slightly different because what they do is they are screwed into the back of the stock, just above the or below the stock bolt hole. And so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 120 grams of weight you can add to the stock, which is quite a lot. Again, as with the Pro Sports and the ProMasters, you have a Patmide accelerator recoil pad, and it comes supplied with 2, 20 and 25 mil. So of course you can vary the length of pull accordingly, and the trigger is also adjustable. So yeah, there is quite a lot of fine tuning with this particular gun. So Allen key in the back of the stock, find the hole, give it a twist, and then that will loosen the comb, and you can go left to right, up and down to your heart's desire. Now these are quite good because there is quite a lot of adjustment in this particular Browning version. As I've spoken before, not a fan of the older model Brownings that have got the 2 holes on the side, because the posts weren't long enough and there just wasn't enough adjustment in it for me. So this particular version that they're now using in the 525, 725 and the 75 Pro range is much, much better. So like I said, you can play around with the comb once you've got it to your liking, and obviously you maybe took it on the pattern plate to just the rib, just nip that back up and put your Allen key back. Now, one thing I do want to point out is with these guns is the triggers are the 75 triggers is a really, really crisp trigger. Huge difference to a 525. We're always asked in the shop, what's the difference between a 525 and a 725, Matt? And for me, a lot of it is the crispness of the trigger. Yes, it's got a low profile action, more technology in the barrels, blah, blah, blah. But I think the trigger is a huge upgrade from just shooting a standard 525. I really like the trigger. And as it is a Browning Pro, there are extra triggers. So we've got the standard trigger, which is this sort of neutral, skinny little trigger. You've got your checkered trigger, which is fairly standard of a Browning. And also you've got one that's a proper sort of right-handed trigger. So it's got a little bit of a curve just to allow the trigger finger just to sit in a slightly more comfortable position. And talking of comfortable positions, I do like the grip on this particular gun. Although it looks, you know, it's quite deceiving. It looks like it's quite a big chunky thing. It's actually not. I mean, we actually supplied one of these to a very good lady customer of ours the other week for shooting English skeet with, and she's only a bit of a dot, to be fair. She's only small. We did shorten it. We put a Kickies rocker recoil pad on it. We balanced it for her, but one of the comments she made is that it doesn't feel obtrusive in the grip. It's quite skinny for what looks like a big gun, and that's the only way I can describe it really. Like I said, it's a bit deceiving. It looks like a big chunky heavy thing with the big rib and the beaver tail, but actually in the hand, I haven't got particularly big hands, it does feel really, really nice. There is a slight palm size. It's not huge, but like I said, it's quite a skinny stock, especially if you compare it to something like a Pro Sport, because the Pro Sport is considerably bigger in the pistol grip and also tighter in the radius. So if you've not got massive hands, don't worry about it, because this gun will be okay for you. Case in point of the wood, the ProMaster comes with, as you can see, extremely nicely figured, grade 4 European walnut. Oil finish, traditional double point checkering, which I do like. You know, I've said it a number of times, I do think for a shotgun stock, that is the best style of checkering you can have. Yes, I appreciate that some manufacturers want to make it look a bit more modern, a bit funky, but for me, I think that traditional look wins every time, no question. Beaver tail forend, you know, English sporting, ski, down the line, ABT, not a problem at all. It's a hugely versatile shotgun. And again, as with all 725 Pro models, you get 18,000 chokes, okay? This is just 8 of them. So with it being an all-rounder, we go right from skeet up to, I think, full on this one, which is not too bad because of extra full, in fact, because they do have a habit of putting tight chokes that you'd never use in some of these Brownings. So we've got cylinder skeet, quarter half, 3/4, full, sorry, light full, and extra full. The chances of using, for most shooters, the extra full and even the full are probably pretty slim. Light full though, which is 7/8 choke, quite handy to be honest if you wanted to shoot a bit of DTL. This gun for me is marketed at sort of a club level shooter that wants to try something a bit different. And while we're just touching on that, it's worth pointing out that Monte Carlo stocks, for me, there's not enough of them, okay? When we go to Italy and we have stocks manufactured for customers, quite often there will be a Monte Carlo in amongst them, because what you've got is you've got tall people with long necks, and that's how we breed them in the UK. That's just how it is. And also, with it being a parallel comb, it takes out some of the inconsistencies of a poor gun mount. And I'm a big fan of Monte Carlo stocks. You know, the high ribs are not for everybody, let's not forget about that. They're not as popular as they were, but there are still some models like this, like the Beretta 694 ACS, that have got a place. You know, someone's cabinet that just wants one gun for everything. You know, it is extremely versatile. You can do a lot of stuff with this. And my advice to people shooting a high rib gun is always don't really look at the rib. You know, just don't look at the gun when you mount it and think, oh, I need to compensate for the rib. Just shoot it, which is why, again, I would say definitely get it on a pattern plate, because that's the only way you will really know where one of these guns is shooting. One thing I will point out is, because this has been raised many times to us before when we've sold these guns, is even though it's a ProMaster, and it's the same with the Pro Sport, when you buy one of these shotguns, the manual will say the words Pro Trap on it, because basically, in Browning's eyes, it's essentially the same gun with a few different stock dimensions, and you know, it's not worth printing a manual for. So that's what you'll get. You'll get a Pro Trap manual even if you buy a Pro Sport. So just a case in point for people to bear in mind. Warranty, as with all Brownings, is very, very good. It's 3 years, and that covers everything, including the woodwork, which most manufacturers don't give you. I would have to double check whether you can get one in a left-hand opener, which of course Browning are now doing this year, as of 2022, with some models, 525, 75, etc. But certainly left-hand with left-hand palm swab, because we've had those before. And I think for anyone that wants something, even people that are getting a little bit, you know, advancing in their shooting years, and they like the idea of being a bit more comfortable, a bit more head up, I would definitely look at one of these. They're available in 30 and 32 inch. My choice would probably be the 32, because they're not massively heavy in the barrels on the 725 range. In fact, while we're talking about that, we'll just check the balance. This is a gun out of the box with a 20mm Patmar pad on the back, no barrel weights or stock weights. To be fair, it's all right. It's a tiny bit stock heavy, so the last thing you would be doing is sticking them 10 million stock weights at the back of it. That's been the 725 ProMaster. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Any questions, obviously get in touch.